Hello and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, your weekly source of weekly stuff from the VR Untethered podcast, which is a weekly source of stuff.
For weeks.
Yes. Many weeks.
Many weeks.
Many weeks we have been doing this, yes. So,
yes.
That's Brad, I'm Josh. We are your lovely, handsome, whatever you want to call us, hosts for today.
Well, that was perfect. I think that was it.
And let's start with the highlights of the week. As always, Brad, go first.
Okay, nothing. No. My highlights this week were actually slowing down to enjoy color space, as it might be Danny Bittman's last. I don't know what he's going to do. Yeah, I really don't know. It's like, is he really going to give up on art forever in VR?
I don't think he's going to give up on it. It's correctable with glasses, and he got glasses for it.
Right. And no, I realize that.
You can wear glasses with the headsets.
Absolutely. So. He seemed to make a very big deal about it. Yeah, he really did. I mean, it was, I really don't know what that was all about. I
don't know. All I know is that I kind of think that hurt VR just a little bit because he's an isolated case. You know, that's not normal. That's not the norm. He had an underlying pre-existing condition, you know.
Right.
That was the issue, not the VR headset per se. You know, it's like an example I gave, I forget if I did in the previous episode or elsewhere on Twitter or just to my wife, but my sister gets shin splints if she runs. Okay, let's say she had somehow made it through high school without ever realizing that she got shin splints. Okay, and then she went into the Boston Marathon and then had to go to the hospital because of shin splints. Is that the marathon's fault?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's the entire fault of the human race for developing running. That you have to go back further, you know. Who's the first guy to run? Who's the first? Stop running. with or without scissors, just stop.
Right. You know, but it's like she would have made a Twitter post about, my doctor told me that the marathon ruined my legs, you know, because I didn't have I didn't know that I had this condition called shin splints, you know, and then I ran in the marathon, and because of the unique conditions of the marathon, it exacerbated. I'm like,
right. And I'm wondering how many people had convergence issues before getting a headset that have been actually cured by using the headset, right, and forcing their eyes.
There have been a few stories of that, actually. A few people were saying, I never had 3D binocular vision before, but with VR, I'm seeing in 3D.
Correct. It corrects other people's... And I guess that just goes to the point of, you can't go anecdotally. You really need science. You really do. Right. And if 3 people out of a gazillion get convergence problems and a gazillion out of 10 gazillion get convergence benefits, keep it. You know, I mean, it's just...
I mean, the worst it's going to cause for 99.99999% of people.
We added one too many nines. I was counting.
No, one too few nines.
Oh.
Anyways, the most any normal person is going to get is a little bit of maybe eye strain if they've been in it too long or whatever, or when they take it off, a few minutes of needing to go, oh yeah, I need to be doing this as well. You know,
right? Reorient yourself,
and then you're back to normal. You know,
right? Exactly. And I think everybody who's watching our show is obviously somebody who's into VR and not people that we have to explain it to. But you know, yeah, it's completely different, and you know, you have to reorient yourself. It's just like going into any abnormal reality and participating in an alternative dimension and
Well,
coming
yeah.
back.
If you go into a good movie, I mean, a really, really good movie, you walk out of there and you're like, okay, I need to reorient myself to reality now because I was just in another world.
Exactly.
You know,
Well, they do give you
that's a
that
little bit
breathing
more
space.
mental than it is it's a physical thing, but still,
Well, the darkness to the light,
yeah,
and they do give you a place of breathability when they bring the lights up a little and the credits are
right,
rolling. So you sort
right.
of, detox and then you come out.
Just,
But
just detox.
but in VR there is no detox. The detox is the black screen with the three white dots constantly going and just going, okay, and giving up.
Well, that's a good argument for using the pass-through home environment because that acts as a little bit of a transition between, oh yeah, there is a real world around me.
True, true,
It
true.
doesn't do anything for the conversion part, but no.
No, I know you feel. No, it doesn't. So sorry, Danny, that won't help you, but for all our other viewers. But I find now I really don't have any trouble reestablishing
Yeah.
contact with reality. Reality.
Yeah, it's different for everybody too. I never had an issue with it. There's a few people online on Reddit go, "Wow, anybody else have like half an hour of seeing things in a weird way after the?" I'm like, no.
No. No, well, it depends, I guess, on what drugs you take before you put the headset
Right.
on.
Right.
But yeah, no, but I do understand because there are people that have varying stages of even being able to participate in VR to any degree. So, but I think Danny's thing, like you said, getting back to that and then moving on, was just he's a recognized member of the community. So
Yeah.
for him to place the blame like that was really sort of like Celine Dion blaming singing for, something. It was, I don't know, it seemed out of place. But anyway, that was my highlight, was possibly doing the last of Danny Bittman's contribution to VR before he
Oh,
just.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna be the last, but I know what you mean.
I'm not expecting any DLC for my color space anytime soon.
Okay, well, if you're done with your highlight of the week, I will go through my multiple highlights then.
Yeah, if we want to fit this into 1 hour, you're going to have to start. So go.
Well, I played some virtual battlegrounds. I've been participating, as I believe I mentioned last week, in the Rec Room Maker Pen, the boot camp, the class that is going well. Last week was all about building things. So this week is about circuits, and so far they have one instructor for the earlier class time and another instructor for the later class time. And both of them tend to go very quickly. And I've seen people drop out of the session because they couldn't keep up and they got lost. And they've got it in there somehow so that you're on the building, the platform here, they're on their stage out there, and in the first one I was in, the instructor goes, "Hey, I'm gonna see if anybody has any questions right now. Does anybody have any questions?" And I go, "Well, actually, yeah, I'm just stuck on this. I've got one of them working and the other not working. All right, then, if there aren't any questions, I'm going to move on," because he didn't hear me.
Oh, that could be a
So,
problem when you ask for
yeah,
questions.
yes,
Not.
yeah. So there's something that I mean, I can understand if they've got other people's voices turned down a little bit so that people can't interrupt each other in the class and whatnot and be disruptive. But then when you stop and you ask for the questions, you need to either remember that you've got voices turned down and you're not going to hear people talking, or you need to implement a way for people to you know,
Right.
or something.
Exactly. You know, that, or either start by saying, look, I'm going to ask a rhetorical question right now. Do any of you have questions? You know, and then just pass them by.
Right.
Uh,
Uh,
but
so in
that
the
must have been frustrating.
outside of that, it has gone well. I was able to make a doorknob that would open up a door when you touch the doorknob. Make a garage door opener style thing. Make a combination lock sort of thing that would be so something you would use in like an escape room or whatever. You have to solve the combination in order to open up the door.
Right.
And I learned how to do some stuff with lights uh, Wednesday, or no, so Thursday. I'm sorry. Today there's going to be another couple classes. The earlier one, however, is going to be during the Virtual Battleground tournament that I'm participating in today. That's one of the things with the Virtual Battlegrounds that I did. They have officially started season 1, and they are kicking it off with a 3-hour tournament later today, where basically just whoever gets the highest scores in there gets the prizes. It is in conjunction with Virtual Athletics League, and I think it's probably too late to sign up for it now, but all you need to do to sign up for it is link your Oculus account or link your Steam account, and then click opt in on the tournament.
Right.
And they do all the tracking of your scores and all that. So, or wait a second. Oh, I just realized today is the yeah. So today, the tower tag tournament started yesterday or the day before. Those are kind of blurring in my mind a little bit. Which was so the next highlight. I got to try tower tag, and they are doing like a 2-week tournament with teams and probably brackets and all that and whatnot. I didn't sign up for that one because I didn't find out about it and get to try tower tag until just this week. So I didn't want to try to scramble to find a team. No, I'm like, yeah, no, I'll just to keep a tab on this one.
Right. Gotcha. How are you liking virtual battlegrounds and tower tag? You know?
Tower tag is interesting. I haven't really played it enough to know if it's one that I really like or not. I mean, it was fun, so don't get me wrong. I just mean I don't know if it's one that I really, really, really like or not.
Gotcha.
It's you capture points basically in order to teleport to them, but it's a grappling hook teleportation system. You shoot the grappling hook at the tower on the platform that you want to move to, and then you have to wait until it is captured, and then you can just flick your arm like that, and you are teleported over to it, basically.
Okay.
And then there's also a shooting element where you have to shoot the other team. And there are 3 game modes. There's a elimination, a team deathmatch, and capture the point. So.
Right.
So.
Yes, good. Just
Well, yeah,
well, you're still in the process. You just said
it's
basically.
good. I, I just don't know yet if it's one that I love enough to keep going back to it over and over.
That does seem. Yeah.
You're on a platform which is basically the size of your play area, but you don't get to stand in the middle of the play area because in the middle is the tower, and you can't be in the tower.
Okay.
No.
Unless you glitch in. Gotcha.
Right. So, and when you go through the tutorial, the very first thing that you see is flashing red, like you're getting injured, and it says, "Move out of the tower." I'm like, hmm? So I had to move all the way to the corner.
Gotcha.
Of my
Iron Lights. I'm very familiar with the.
Yeah.
Stop hitting me! Stop it! Yes,
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a good way of teaching you don't stand in the tower in the game, but
Sure. Well, hitting somebody with a flamethrower is going to teach them not to play with fire, but it's a little, heavy-handed.
Anyways, another highlight that I had was I got to try the Elysia pre-alpha yesterday, and I don't recall any sort of NDA saying that we couldn't talk about it, because the door open that they got that. I backed it in the pre-Kickstarter, so I got access to wander around in the world a little bit yesterday and listen to the developers talk about the roadmap. So it's definitely not quite ready for prime time, but it has some cool magic usage stuff in it. It's using gestures, but unlike in Orbis, where you have to draw a shape and then hit a button, this is bigger gestures. It's like doing this causes ice spikes to erupt out of the ground.
Okay.
Doing this summons a rain cloud you that then shoots lightning down.
Sounds a little like Journey of the Gods.
Yeah. So no, it's I like that so far. Some of the gestures are a little bit buggy. Right now, you can actually pick a username and whatnot in there. You should just get randomly assigned a username and a gender.
I hate that. No.
Well,
that was...
names that end in A, E, or Y are female avatars. No. A, E, I, or Y are female avatars. The other the male.
They left out O and U. Is that it?
I don't know. So,
okay.
Anyways, it was interesting. It looks good so far. They're nowhere near where they're going to be when they release it, though. So, if you're interested in finding out more about it, you can always go and look up Elysia on YouTube, where they post the developer talks, I believe.
Right. I have looked at it. I missed out on the pre-Kickstarter. I was out of the country at the time, and I was looking at it and not really sure how long it would take to develop, because they really did announce it, like you're saying, pre-Kickstarter.
Right.
This is an idea by a concept by a guy that we met on the street the other day. And so I wanted to give it a little time to actually ripen. And it seems like it's headed in a good direction. I feel somewhat burned by Orbis.
Well, you weren't in a pre-Kickstarter for Orbis.
Oh, no, I paid full price to get my face smacked into it. And, as much as we enjoyed it at the beginning, and I guess we could go back into it now that they're bringing up the summer festival and changing it up a little. I think my biggest problem with Orbis during the entire thing was that the graphics were really as mediocre as graphics are going to get in a game like that.
Oh, I don't know. Rec Room graphics aren't really that much better.
This is how much I paid for Rec Room. I paid this much for Rec Room. And for Orbis, I paid
True, but
considerably more.
Rec Room is more. Well, number one, it's a different kind of game. That's one you can just jump into, do a mini game,
Right.
to do whatever. Orbis is something that you have to have a party with, because it's hard to solo. And I stopped playing it really because no one
We all
in
stopped. Right.
Fellowship wasn't mine anymore. People kept going in, partying up with random strangers, and said not letting the rest of the Fellowship know they were in, and time, and I missed out on the biggest time that everyone else who was doing it when my quest was out being replaced for a month and a half.
Yeah, that did put a big blow because we were just getting into it. That was really
Yep.
a terrible
Yeah.
time to lose it,
Yeah.
That was like when
So
I got sick during the beginning of Echo, it's
right.
like bad timing, man, just
Yep.
bad timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing I will say is that I'm noticing that as toxic as some of the kids are, some of these young children are becoming much better behaved. And
Yeah.
some of the adults are becoming much more like toxic children.
Some of them are. Yeah. I have pointed out all along that it's not just the kids. Adults are acting like that also. So some adults act like that. Some adults will come up to you, grab you, and start violating you or whatever.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, dude, I get this is VR and there are no consequences, but no, that's something that is reportable, and if I can get a video of you doing it, I will report you.
Yes. No, I mean, yes, certain things just have to be kept within an environment, and really when you see a game that's rated 17 plus, there must be a way to keep those 13-year-olds out. There really should.
Well, there really isn't because um Oculus assumes that everybody is at least over 13 because they have their disclaimer not for under 13, and parents have a quest. Go here, son, play. Here, daughter, play. And they don't, Echo, for better or for worse, is tied to the headset itself. So even if they were able to make a separate under 13 account for their kid, because they are playing on the same headset, they would have the same MMR as the parent.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a flaw there. I mean, it helps to prevent smurfing, but it's a little bit of a flaw in some other respects.
Well,
But it's the same problem in all space. That they also don't have any system set up to allow for under 13. And even if they did, just like in Rec Room, parents would be giving the headset that said making a not under 13 account for their kids. The Rec Room has a system in place. It's called a junior account, and in the junior account, children are seen and not heard. You
right.
can't hear them; they can't hear you.
Perfect.
Which I get, but at the same time, I don't get as well, because one of the things I want to do with my son in Rec Room is be able to build with him. A junior account is not allowed to see stuff that other people are building.
Okay. Well, there should be there should be, I guess, a family override for something
Right.
like that.
Right. Right. If I am playing with my son's
Right.
junior account and I am on there as the registered parent account, I should be able to hear him. He should be able to hear me.
Absolutely.
We should be able to see each other's builds.
Correct. Right.
So,
It should just be a link like they do with Google Photos, where you could open
right,
up a
right,
portion to your
right,
child. It
right.
seems easy
And
enough.
no one really has a good solution yet. Because having it, well, you have to verify that you're over 13. Mom, Dad, can you do the age verification? You know,
Right. Right. I
a
know.
lot of parents will go, sure, I'll do it. Boop, boop, boop. Here you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it really made me realize the other day I was in one game and I heard some youngin that shouldn't have been in there playing, and then a minute or two later I heard a parental voice taking away the headset and saying, "Sorry, sorry, everybody, sorry." So um, at least he was there a little late, but at least they were
Right,
overseeing what was going on, which I
right.
think people really should understand. Anybody out there that has children and is just handing this over to them and is watching this, which I realize is quite a subset, um, should and pass it on to anybody that's not watching this, which is probably everybody else that you meet. Um, let them know it's really not for kids yet. Although then you go
Well,
and you look at
that's not
Tales of the Curious.
necessarily not for kids, but um, kids need to be monitored in it, because they don't necessarily know how to behave outside of VR, you know.
Sure.
I mean, uh, given what I've seen in my day job of being a bus driver, what's going on with the kids in Echo Arena is sometimes it's a little bit tame.
Right. I know. I know. That's them being well behaved. These are ones that are actually,
Yeah,
socializing to whatever degree that is these
right.
days. But yeah, I don't know. There should be. I don't know. It's mostly fun. It's
Yeah,
pretty rare that you run
yeah,
into the really
yeah,
toxic.
and it is getting better, in Echo Arena. Anyways, I want to move on to my last highlight before we move on to the meat of the show. Now that it's 25 minutes in, so uh, I also got to attend the Vive in VR uh, conference. It was really more like a press announcement thing. Um, their journey into the next normal conference held within Engage. And this is where they announced all the plans that is coming up this fall with the Vive XR Suite. They are moving to a software as a service to business model. In addition to the hardware, I think it's not necessarily replacing the hardware stuff, but it's an addition. And they're going to have a suite of apps like Vive Campus, Vive Museums, Vive Social, or XR Suite Campus, XR Suite Social, or whatever. And they are trying to cover the gamut of a whole bunch of things and kind of try to be the Adobe suite of VR social stuff. They are partnering with Verbella for VR campuses. And speaking of that, there's an iLearn conference today and tomorrow or whatever that's using Verbella as the platform. So I just installed that on Steam this morning on my Shadow. And if I have time today, I will check that out some. Vive is also partnering with VR Chat for the social and the shopping part of their XR Suite solution.
HTC.
And they are partnering with Museum of Other Realities for the museum part. And they're using their own Vive Sync for the meetings part. So, as you can see, they're trying to get a finger in every pie there.
Well, you left out that HTC is also partnering with HP
To have it pre-installed on an upcoming laptop. Yes.
Correct. And also, Vive has always been there because I had Vive Port 3 years ago, which was the Netflix of VR.
Well, yeah, and this, they have not yet announced the cost of it, except that it will be affordable, and it's going to be tied into your Vive port.
Exactly. So all I can see this being actually is just an extension of Viveport that's been curated. And
well, it's also going to work on your mobile apps too, or your mobile devices like your iPhone and your Android phones.
supposedly.
Probably not on every model.
Right, I was going to say.
That can't handle that stuff, no.
Right. The suite might be affordable, but the phone that handles it might not be. So we'll have to see where that lands. But yeah, I saw that they were moving, and they compare it to an Adobe model. But then it's like Adobe meets Netflix, really, which is sort of becoming tremendously gigantic. And by going with the HP, they're doing it because of HP's new Reverb G2 that's coming out, which Windows is.
It could be.
Yeah, they're talking about them and Microsoft. Like they're all getting into the same bed right now and producing some sort of hybrid child. And
right. Well, and there's a little bit more Vive news later on in the news section that may or may not tie into this.
Oh, I can't wait to find out. And are we moving off of highlights, or was that?
I do believe so. That was my last highlight there. Upcoming or new releases, sorry. Trover Saves the Universe.
I own it.
Yeah. But when will you play it?
Oh. Rick and Morty only knows. I had to get it. Just celebrated a birthday. Yay me. And
happy 97th birthday.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to see I'm looking younger than I actually am. Yeah, Trover was just a had to buy. When I saw that it was 8 to 9, depending on who was writing the review, anywhere from 6 to 10 hours basically of play.
Right.
And Accounting Plus, I think, was like an hour and a half or something.
Right.
So
if you can handle 6 to 10 hours of Accounting Plus, I applaud you.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't opened it yet, like I said, and I might have. Originally, I was going to do it in a one-day session, but I didn't know.
Oh, that'd be a long day.
Yeah, I don't know if the psychiatrist would able to put me together again after that one, so I might have to take it in spurts.
Right. Speaking of VR and kids, this is not an app for kids.
God, no. Well, it does have a button that you could push to go into a more censored version, which is, I'm sure, still not appropriate for children, but more appropriate for some adults that'll freak when they go into the fully activated version.
Yeah, I mean, during the Upload VR showcase earlier this week, when they went into this, they said, the following trailer is not approved. Remove your children from the room. I'm like, no, that's not going to work. I'll just mute it. Mute. Oh, it's Trover. Good thing I muted it.
Oh my God. Yeah, Trover. And the thing is that the game itself, you're just holding the gamepad. You don't move off of your couch.
Right.
You're controlling Trover the whole time. So it's bizarre because you're first and third person, but you never move your hands off of the controller. So
yes. Be careful what goes into your eye holes.
Always. And that, your mother should have taught you that when you were younger.
Anyways, moving away from the bizarre offensiveness that is Trover.
Or moving closer in, depending on your lean, but go
ahead. We also had Cirque du Soleil launch on Quest this week in a unannounced move. It's been out on VR devices before, on the Go and the Gear VR, and it looks to be basically the same app that's already been out, but they've also added another show into there, And basically what it is like 10-minute, 20-minute snippets of their shows from a 3D camera perspective. And they added a new show in there. So
now I had the Cirque du Soleil app on the go,
mm-hmm.
and I will say that it was one of the apps that everybody that I gave it to, when taking off the headset, would hand it to whoever was sitting next to them and say, "You have to see this."
Right.
Because it really was, the entire show or whatever the clip was based
right.
around you. They performed
right.
for you, and you'll never have that experience no matter how much you spend at a Cirque du Soleil show.
Right. So it's a well-done app. I did not get it this time, mainly because stuff. It just wasn't compelling enough to me for just one more episode. I've already seen all the others, and
Right.
I might get it later on. You never know. It is a fun thing. But we also had Homestar VR come out this week, which is not related to another game called Homestar way back when.
Which is kind of bizarre that they went with that. So
this is a personal planetarium app. Unlike
Night Sky?
No, Star Chart. Unlike the Star Chart, I believe in that one you can actually go to the stars and whatnot. In Homestar, you are on the Earth looking up at the stars, and you don't necessarily get a close-up view of any one particular star. I could be wrong. I haven't actually played it, but that was not shown in the trailer, so I'm assuming it's not in there.
Right.
But it does have some narration. It talks about the constellations and the stories behind them, and you can go into different areas of the planet and view the night sky from in the desert, view it from at an observatory, view it from up at the North Pole where you have the Northern Lights, and
Right.
And you can change what year and day you are viewing it during, and so it has got a lot of options, but it's basically a planetarium app. So
right. Well, I really liked Star Chart a lot. That was very immersive. This does not sound quite as immersive, although it sounds sort of like a National Geographic add-on.
Maybe.
But
yeah. To each their own. So some people are going to gravitate toward this. Some people are going to gravitate towards Star Chart. Other people are going to gravitate toward Titans of Space. Other people are going to gravitate towards
Mimers.
A multiverse. So
yeah, obviously there's no shortage of Star Charts, or then you could just go into Star Trek and blow things up too. So.
Right. And so speaking of multiverse as an aside, they have released some other things that's still in the same environment of that amphitheater, but has different displays. They had stuff relating to the rocket launch. They had COVID-19 stuff for a bit, and I think recently they were holding a conference or a live event of some sort in there. I forget what it was. So they are fulfilling their promise of more content.
Okay, that's good.
So
always more content good. Is always good.
Yes. And I don't know how long this is going to be, but Skyrim VR is on Steam for a 70% discount. Instead of $60, you can get it for $18.
which is quite the deal.
Yes. I went and have purchased it just this morning. I don't know how much longer it will be on sale, so if it is still on sale when you are watching this video and you have been interested in it at all, you go to Steam and get it while the getting is good.
I think it's over.
It might be now, never know. If you're watching this 2 years in the future, it may be on sale again.
For even less.
Yeah, for an 80% discount. You never know.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm waiting. Is it 2023 yet, or I think 2077 Cyberpunk is going to come out on its predicted date, 2077.
Yes. So I know there's been the ability to do Skyrim in VR before, but I think it was a mod, and right. I think this is an official support for it.
With all of the upgrades, DLCs, and everything else.
Yep, you can use all the mods you want and whatnot as well, I believe. So I am looking forward to trying it out after the Virtual Battleground tournament.
Wow.
I may need to charge first before I do it. I don't know.
I don't know. You're going to have some heavy-duty sustenance around by you today.
So anyways, moving on to upcoming titles. We have no upcoming titles this week. None whatsoever. None. Actually, I take that back. We have, finally, Phantom Covert Ops. It's supposed to be coming out June 25th. That is this week, in only 5 days from the recording of this video.
Actually, from the processing and placement of this video.
It'd be like 4 days.
You better get cracking, man. We have to get off here and you have to get this uploaded. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Have been since I was 15 years old, I think.
You didn't even know about VR back then.
No, I think that Chad's hasn't it been 15 years now since Oculus is... Yeah, I think they put that up there like with Dead and Buried when it's crazy. It really is. That's been on my coming soon list since I got the Quest.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about it is that it has David Hayter in it. Now, until recently and that announcement and all, I didn't know he was the voice of Solid Snake, as I didn't really back then pay attention to all of the credits in the games, you know. Right. But he's the voice of Solid Snake in the original Metal Gear Solid games, and he's back in a Metal Gear Solid-like game, only he plays a crazed Russian bad guy. So he's not going to be sounding like, "Hey, this is Solid Snake. Welcome." You know, he's not going to sound like that. It's going to sound different.
So he's playing the part of Hans Gruber in Die Hard for this one?
Something like that.
That's kind of weird. Okay.
Yeah, so he's the bad guy in this one, and he has a Russian accent. So.
Oh, man, that would be a really bad Bruce Willis movie. Really bad. But I am looking forward to getting into my kayak. Yeah. And defeating the world from within my kayak.
Yeah, that's right.
This must be, one heck of a paddle. You know, I want the paddle with the scope. You know.
Yeah. So we have some other upcoming titles that are not necessarily to this week, but I wanted to talk about them briefly because we have some dates or times for some of them, not for all of them, but Solaris Off-World Combat is coming in August. And it looks to be a fun game. To me, when I watched the trailer on the Uploads VR showcase, it looked kind of similar to Hyperdash, only without the actual rails that you are riding on and whatnot. So it looks like it's a similar fast-paced game like that. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked good. I liked it, but like you say, it looked like Hyperdash. Immediately, it looked like
Right.
Hyperdash,
Right.
and then it was like,
Which is
what?
not a bad thing.
No,
That's not
no.
necessarily a bad thing, no.
But it was sort of surprising, that
Yes.
it did look so much like it. But
Right.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too. So, but that's not coming out until, was that August, I think? Or,
August. Yes. August. Yep. So
so, yeah,
we don't have a specific date for it yet, but it's supposed to be coming out in August. We also have huge news for anyone who is a Star Wars fan. Star Wars Squadrons is coming out, and we do have a date for that. It says October 2nd.
yeah,
The problem with it is, well, if you call it a problem, is it has HOTAS support, the flight joystick support, but it doesn't have motion controllers support. So you're not going to be able to use your actual touch controllers or whatever for it.
which is insane. It's truly insane.
But what is interesting about it, though, is that it was developed with VR in mind. And you will have the ability to turn off the HUD elements and rely only on the instrumentation in the game, making it even more immersive.
Right.
I mean, in reality, if you're in a fighter plane cockpit, most of the time you're just going to be on the flight joystick and the fire controls anyway.
Right.
You're not going to be doing a lot of reaching around, turning and moving, and so it kind of makes sense that they would limit it to that. However, I don't have a flight joystick.
I was going to say
They're a little bit expensive, and given that I would be playing it on Shadow, that can be iffy about passing high-speed USB from my computer to Shadow.
Yeah.
So I don't know how well that would work for me. So.
I know, and they said that it's being put out for the Xbox One immediately, which is like, well, there's not any VR support for the Xbox One. So.
It's not a VR-only title. It's also a flat screen.
I know, which kind of makes me a little leery. We'll see where it goes, but it won't be out till October anyway, so really not much. But I would agree with you, and if you remember in the olden days, when cars didn't have backup monitors and steer themselves, we would buy a game like that, and it would come packaged with a controller.
Right, exactly.
And so digitally, it really sort of, we see where it doesn't work as a marketing thing, unless they were to send you one when you purchase it on a pre-order and
now
include joystick or something.
I would not be opposed to if they had a system in there where your motion controllers were virtually locked in the flight joystick positions. So even if you move your hands out here in game, they're still there, and you see your ghost hands out here as a reminder of to get back to the right position, and just use these for that, because your controller has all the same access of freedom as a joystick does, and more.
I was going to say,
you just ignore the positional and just rely on the rotational.
It's stupid. Because you really do have all of that ability within your touch controllers. So it's not like they don't have gyros and sensors for picking up the positioning and actually using the joystick. Yeah, that's nice. If you want to give me the rest of the cockpit, it's going to be realistic feeling too. But in the meantime, I've learned to live with touch controllers in alternate universes. So.
Right. Speaking of using the joystick or the thumbstick on the controllers, I'd rather limit that, because my left the thumbstick is, I think, getting a little bit loose from how often it is used for the locomotion.
Yes.
I was noticing yesterday, just in the Oculus home environment, if I scroll upward with my left controller, the thumbstick, and I let go, it goes, so it's going upward, so the screen is going down, and then I let go and it bounces right back up.
Yeah.
And even if I very carefully, slowly come to a stop, lift it up, it still does it. So there's just something a little wonky going on there, and not really affecting things too much yet. But I may need to contact Oculus support about that at some point.
Well, I believe that the initial games that we got really relied on very few consistent motions on the,
Right.
it would start something and then release.
Right.
But now when you play games like Echo and some of the other games where you're constantly moving all of your controls.
In Echo Arena, there's not really a need unless you've got enable pitch and roll turned on to do anything except a click on that left the thumbstick.
Right. No, I agree with you.
So I do appreciate that about Echo. That
Right.
it reduces some of the wear and tear on the thumbstick, which is, I think, probably one of the first pieces that's going to need to be replaced on any of these. It's going to be one of the first things that wears out.
You're going to have people that'll argue the trigger with you on that, or the grip button.
It depends on which game and all that, and how hard you squeeze on that trigger and whatnot. But yeah,
at least it's not the Go controller, so we're it's in that respect. But
yeah. So, anyways, speaking of the economy and getting back to work and whatnot, Vacation Simulator had the Back to Job free downloadable content
coming
in the fall. So basically, it's their nod to the renewal of the gig economy. So you are still in Vacation Simulator, but now you are bringing your work with you, because you are an entrepreneur and doing gigs.
Oh my God! Okay.
And all the other bots are on vacation, so you have to deal with their gigs.
Okay. So, why not? Did they ever come out with budget cuts too?
The budget cut 2 is out, yes.
Yeah, but not for Quest.
No.
Okay. That was supposed to come out a while ago. Budget cuts. No, for Quest.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's going to come out for that. I haven't heard anything about that.
But when they announced it, it was supposed to come out for Quest.
I know.
And then all of a sudden,
in a while, I said I haven't heard anything about that in a while. So,
right. Okay.
So who knows? We also have an upcoming RPG game. I don't know what specific platforms it will be on yet, but it's called Stones of Harlath. It is a VR game where you have to draw your spells and whatnot, and it uses kind of retro style pixel art. So like early 90s, late 80s kind of artwork.
Yeah. I'm not really digging on a lot of this back to the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly 8-bit graphics, but it's more like 16-bit or in between 8 and 16. Right. That's what it looks like.
Right. It's like they hit the 10 to 12 mark,
I get that that's the current fad, and it may be a little bit easier to pull off graphically and whatnot, and not strain the resources of the VR devices. But
no,
the Quest can handle Apex Construct, which looks so much better than 8-bit or 16-bit graphics.
I really don't get it because Xbox also, one of their games with gold this month was also a pixel 1980s
Right.
type graphic thing, side scroller. And I'm looking at it going, are you kidding me? I mean, really, you're going back to Nintendo
Yeah, I
the
mean,
day after it came out. What are you doing?
yeah, yeah. I don't even want to get a pixel art style thing for my phone, and because they can handle PUBG, they can handle Fortnite. Yeah.
What am I going back to Space Invaders for?
Right.
Seriously,
Right.
that's what it really feels like. Is what
Right.
are you throwing at me here, guys?
Right.
Yes, great, fantastic. That took up 2 minutes of my life I'll never get back. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they can like move back into 2020 and come back out of 1980, and
You know, Depending on if it's a PC VR title and if someone really wants to hack and whatever, maybe someone will come up with a mod for it that will make it look modern. Never know.
I mean, isn't it really too soon to go retro on games? This
From
is.
the 2000s.
Yeah, exactly. Aren't you nostalgic
20
for
years ago.
years ago, months ago? I'm nostalgic for May. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So
So,
just
yeah.
hopefully they'll move on.
Yep. Speaking of moving on, we have Blaston, or as the developer of it says, Blaston.
That's so.
Yeah. In fall, coming for the Quest, and then later for other platforms. It's kind of like an Iron Knights game in that it's a one-on-one duel and it's kind of slowish motion, but you're not limited to only defending or only attacking. And you have various weapons floating around you, and you can grab and then shoot with this one, and then grab and shoot with this one, and each of them do the different things.
Oh, so you're not locked into the same weapon, but it's
Right.
still attacking and defending. I was going to
Well,
say
yes, you are attacking and defending, but you're not locked into attacking
or
or
defending. Oh,
defending.
like Iron Knights. Gotcha.
Right. And Iron Knights, when we're up close and
It's
I'm
one or the other.
attacking, you
Right.
cannot attack. You can only defend.
Which really pisses me off. I got to be honest
Right.
with you. Yeah,
I
that's
know
like,
that's not realistic. I understand the design choice behind that, but that's not realistic.
no.
Because in a real combat situation, you want you, the best defense is also an attack. I'm not gonna just block your staff coming at me. I'm gonna block by trying to hit your hand with my staff so that your hand can't hold the staff anymore.
And then when it drops, you're going to use the other end to whack them in the head, and you
Exactly.
can't, you know,
Or elsewhere, depending
on
on what you
where.
have available.
Ouch. Okay. But yes, exactly. So that part does piss me off in Iron Knights that you can get so close to a melee and you have to stand there basically and just take it. It's like, okay.
Right.
The attack is
And if
great, the
you try
defense.
dodging, the game itself rains down death on you, as you well know.
I know, please get me out of the way of killing me. No, no. No, no, you must die, and more horribly than if we let him kill you.
Yep. Anyways, in a kind of unusual move, though, the developers for Blaston, who are also the developers behind Akron, Attack of the Squirrels, also have another game coming out later this year called Cookout: A Sandwich Tale.
Oh my God, is that what we're going to do with the squirrels from Akron?
Maybe, maybe.
Oh, this guy's
Roadkill
cruel.
sandwiches for the win. It's what you eat, then blast on to generate health.
Exactly.
Eat a squirrel sandwich.
Talk about crossplay.
Yeah.
We move right from Akron into the sandwich shop, and Critter sandwiches, yeah.
So I think it's interesting that they are working on 2 different games at the same time that are both going to be releasing roughly around the same time.
Yeah, that is kind of
That's a
unique.
little bit unusual for most VR companies who seem to take 3 years to make one title.
Uh-huh. Or companies like Servios who don't even bother completing the title. So
When is Battleway coming to Quest, anyways?
soon. I think Chad said soon.
He always says soon, so that's the only word he knows.
But he knows it so well. Yeah, that Battlewake thing with Servios really, I think, has left a bad taste in at least one person's mouth that I know.
Yours?
No, I
Michael's?
did not. Yes, I think Mikey is, he's actually getting his pre-Kickstarter stuff delivered to him from China post-COVID before Servios is
I
releasing
know,
the
and he's
Quest
been
for
waiting
it.
like a year on that.
That you got to really be careful of these people that promise you cross-buy.
Yeah.
Don't ever actually promise that the game will come out. Just that when it does, yeah, you don't have to buy it again if it does.
So, anyways, moving on to the news. Now that we're at 59 minutes.
Well, you better do this quick. You got 1 minute.
Done.
And now you
No.
know everything you need to know.
Yeah. No, all the good news that's good to fit into the good news session.
Okay, let's do this.
Upload VR, in their showcase, talked about agents, not agents like AGENTS, but agents as an agency without the Y on the end of it.
But with an E.
What?
But with an E.
Yeah, that would be how you would have to spell it. It's a new experiment in VR with AI and machine learning. I'm still not entirely sure what the gameplay of it's going to be, but there are these creatures on the planet that you can interact with and help them learn and evolve, and they develop minds of their own. And so I'm guessing it's kind of like a sim kind of thing. I don't know.
But a sim that grows with your, like a intelligent Tamagotchi or something.
Right.
VR. Right.
So I'm not entirely sure how well that's gonna pan out, how enjoyable it's gonna be. I mean, there are people that are really into games like that. I'm not one of them. My wife sometimes is. She's bought every Sims franchise so far.
Well, I was into Sim Evolution when you were able to create the animals and actually create different creatures as the evolution went through. But once again, at a certain point, you're done, or you're God, or you're, it's
right.
Right.
So, anyways, it is an interesting and unique title. It remains to be seen what the end product actually looks like, how it plays. And in other news, we might have an Apple standalone VR headset in 2022. In a new rumor and leak stuff. And it's been leaked that there was conflict over the approach between a standalone or a dumb streaming headset between Johnny Ive and Mike Rockwell. Mike Rockwell is the head of the AR/VR division at Apple. Johnny Ive recently left, but said before he left, they had a conflict over there. So Johnny Ive wanted more of the standalone approach. Mike Rockwell was envisioning it as more of you have the store on the computer and it streams to the headset. So either which way, going by this latest rumor, it might be out in 2022. So.
Yeah, but the thing with that is that right now with what Apple is working on, pretty sure you touched on it last week about the glasses that no longer use lenses and can shoot right into your retina, and how they'll be using that to correct vision as well as augmented. I don't see how they'll do virtual reality. I don't see how.
They are working on that as well, and the article mentioned that it's touted to be, or their goal is that something that'll be such high resolution and quality that it'll be virtually indistinguishable from reality. So
Exactly. But once again, how
it
they
remains
place
to be
you.
seen how close they actually to get to that while remaining semi-affordable. However, they are going to be having a lot more fabric in the headset from the rumors than the Oculus Quest currently does. And the next version of the Quest is rumored to be having more plastic than the current version in order to shave off some of the cost. So the Apple headset is probably going to be more like the Vive Cosmos in the pricing than it will be like the Oculus Quest.
Right. I don't know what it'll be, to be very honest with you, being that they've released their SE with the A13 Bionic chip. I don't know. They don't know, to be really honest with you. I think they're just covering all their bases to see which one hits first.
Maybe.
Because they're working on several approaches.
Yeah. In another bit of news, Ian Hamilton from Upload VR, I believe it was Ian who did this, right? Let me double check on the article. I think it was him. Ian Hamilton did a kind of experiment and interview, etc., exploring sign language in VR using hand tracking. It's not perfect yet because obviously you still can't occlude, because then your hands should disappear, and there are signs that require occluding or contacting the other hand, like the sign for help is this. And there are other issues preventing it from working perfectly yet, but it's moving a lot. It's getting a lot closer, and because that is something that is essential, because there's a lot of deaf users out there, a lot of hard of hearing people out there, that we don't get the most optimal experience in VR because of the hearing. Everything is focused around hearing and around vision, which makes sense because that's how most of the world lives. But those of us that have issues with our hearing, we're at a disadvantage. Like in all space or in other games where they've got positional audio, we're at a little bit of a disadvantage because we might be able to hear the person, but we don't know where they are. And so some of those games don't have a big, obvious, this is the person talking, So we look around and we can't tell who is talking.
That would be interesting if they could create a system where when someone was talking, you saw their body vibrate or a line around them or just something other than a microphone to indicate that that's the person who's speaking.
Right. Rec Room does it fairly well. All space, it has the mouth moving, but if you are far enough away and you see two people side by side, one person is talking, the other person is not, both of their mouths appear to be moving because they're in the FOV area, or the harsh degradation area where everything appears to be kind of just squirming just a little bit,
Gotcha.
So you don't know which one is talking. You know?
They definitely have to work on that for sure.
Yeah. And one thing that I don't know if anyone's really working on yet is translation of spoken text into either a speech bubble or a virtual sign language. It'd probably be harder to do the sign language and just default to a speech bubble because the sign language is incredibly complicated and nuanced. And if I say, or that all means I help you or whatever, but it's all different shades of meaning.
I was going to say a lot of that is facial as well.
Exactly.
And if you can't express the facial while you're doing that,
Right.
it's like people don't know whether you're saying "screw you" in a funny way
Right.
or really, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
without that facial expression,
Right.
you just get the words.
Right. And a lot of the meaning is conveyed in the speed and the tension
I've
of the
noticed.
gesture. Like, sure, I'll help you. All right, I'll help you.
Right.
Will you help me? Or should you want me to help you? Can I help you?
Right.
You know?
Exactly. I watch them when they give their speech. Now every governor and mayor has the person, next to them doing the sign language. And you can see that they are all, like, wow, these guys are into it. It's not just
and
using your
part of
hands.
the grammar of sign language is in the face.
Right.
Like you indicate the difference between a dog and the dog with your eyebrows.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's also like questioning. I noticed that a lot of times they would be saying something, and if the person was asking a question, like the one who was doing the interpreting would be like, like asking the question facially.
The question is like, it looks like a confused look.
Right, but while they're actually saying this happened, but showing a confused look, like they're questioning as to why it happened or as to they understand why it's happening, and all of that has to be expressed. So it's not just
right. So it's and it's going to be really difficult to solve going from sign language to a speech bubble for the hearing impaired people too. It's a very difficult problem to solve. In the Upload VR article Ian wrote on it, he mentioned a paper someone shared with him. I wrote a paper on a similar subject before. It's a research paper as part of my linguistics degree. But a lot of verbs in ASL require motion. So, like I showed you with help, right? But also there has something called a classifier. So this is used as a classifier for a vehicle. This is used as a classifier that means a person. So if this is a vehicle, and I already established that it's a car, okay? Car, you're on a windy road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do this. You're driving over a dirt road or something,
Yeah.
And to do this, and you got into a crash.
But that's all doable. The facial expression, not so much. But now that they are working on that with the avatars and being able to pick up your facial expression. So I guess once that comes into effect, they'll be able to hone it more.
Yeah. So I applaud Ian for to getting into this and looking into it and working on it. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. I remember, I think last year sometime they had a question about, well, what do you think the next thing VR should address is or whatever, and I commented, well, deaf and hard of hearing users, and I got kind of shot down in the comments because of that. So it is good to see that they are addressing it now because it needs to
Right.
be.
Yeah, it does. I agree.
So,
Well,
anyways, we spent a lot of time on that, a little bit more than I meant to. So let's move on to the next one, which is Pokemon Smile AR.
that looks very intriguing. I
Yeah,
like what they've done with that.
yeah, it's an app that's intended to encourage toothbrushing in reluctant kids. Basically, you would just set up a phone on the counter so the screen is facing them, and while they are brushing their teeth, they have a Pokemon hat on the
That's
screen, and
improving.
there's a little Pokemon in front of them, battling away all the plaque germs and whatnot. And then afterwards, they get a chance to capture the Pokemon that they rescued and added to the Pokedex and whatnot.
Right. Which
It's all done
is
in a not. It's not the official Pokemon style. It's kind of a what in anime and manga terms it's called a chibi style or a super deformed, cute style.
right.
So, but it looks interesting. It's one of those that technically kind of barely AR, but I like the idea behind it, and
Right. And it probably could be used for other products as well.
right,
And, it's one way to teach children how to use something
right.
as opposed to directions like IKEA directions.
IKEA directions. Sometimes you need an Unreal Light headset to just lay it all out in front of you and say, "Oh, holographic picture of this. Okay, here it is. There we go."
It would be perfect. Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Yeah, so moving on, Population One, invite-only playtesting has begun. If you haven't heard about that, it's kind of been all over, I think, but we've got to mention it here too. If you're if you are interested in it, I can find the link for it and put it in the description and whatnot to go and sign up, whatever. But that is a battle royale game that is going to be coming to the Quest whenever they get it done. It's been kind of incommunicado for what, like it's about a year or so, I think.
Something like that.
Where
Yeah.
no one's heard anything from them, and now they are getting active again. So that brings up some hope that maybe they actually are coming soon.
Yeah, that would be interesting. If
Yeah.
anybody out there has played Population One or participated in the playtest, please feel free to let us know how it's going. And
Oh, if I remember from signing up to be a beta tester way back when they were incommunicado, there's an NDA that you have to sign. So I don't think anyone's going to comment saying, "Yeah, I played."
true, but they could just tell us what they've heard about it. It's fine.
Maybe. Yeah.
Rumors, we accept rumors.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear it's a
Anyways,
great game.
moving on to the other Vive news that I had mentioned earlier. Vive, or properly HTC, and Qualcomm are partnering to offer the Vive Wave platform, which is basically their OS, to all Snapdragon-based headsets. So basically, it's the same OS that's used in things like the Pico and the Cosmos and whatnot, and they are going to be offering that as compatible with Qualcomm's XR2 or whatever it is, chipset and whatnot, and working on mobile devices so that those who want to make a mobile VR headset but don't necessarily have the resources or the desire to create an OS for it can just use this and then develop the headset around that. So
Well, I also read that Qualcomm has put a new the 690 chip. Did you read about that?
No.
They're going to be replacing a lot of the processors that were supposed to be 785s with the 690, which is going to incorporate 5G. And
Okay. Yeah.
so they'll be giving you like a slightly reduced chip, but it will give you the ability to do the 5G, which
Right.
will offset and help the mobile aspect. And
Hmm.
that was also well.
And also, if you believe all the conspiracy theorists out there, give you COVID-19.
Absolutely. What's 5G without a bit of COVID-19? You know, it's
That's one of the weirdest conspiracy theories out there.
and that's saying something.
Yeah. So, anyways, in other news, well, or one more thing about that kind of ties in with our earlier Vive news about Vive going after all the things.
And
Basically.
that, right, yeah, one ring to gather them all, and in the darkness bind them.
One Vive to gather them all.
Exactly.
To
You
rule
shall
them all.
pass.
So,
Damn that Sauron. Okay.
VTime launches private instances to enable therapeutic counseling, child safe sessions, etc. And in the UK, I believe they've seen like a 70 or 75% uptick in the number of installs and uses of the app since the whole lockdown stuff started. And this is different from most of the other social VR platforms out there in that you are sitting down, you can't move around. I mean, you can swap seats, I believe, but you don't get up and move and walk, and it is just for talking. It is really well done. You are in these beautiful environments. You can even load in custom 3D environments and whatnot. And it started out on the Gear VR. And given that doesn't have motion controllers, what was really cool about it is it simulated natural gestures while you were talking.
Right.
So it was really cool. It works well. My problem with it at the time was not having anybody specifically to go into a session with, because it's not just you're in there and everybody's in there. You go into individual limited attendance sessions, and you can request to be invited, but if they decline, you're out of luck. So you have to. It's more like a meeting thing than it is just to jump in and meet new people thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but given that they are enabling private instances, this my understanding is that I mean, all the sessions are kind of private to begin with, but I think this is separate servers and maybe more security, so that like say more HIPAA compliant and whatnot,
Right.
so that they can do things like children getting private tutoring, children going to a counseling session, or
That was the big thing with the
and
counseling session.
addressing privacy concerns there. So
Right. That seemed to me to be the big thing, was
yeah,
addressing children's concerns without
yeah,
violating their privacy.
right, and that I'm all for that. That is very good use of the app, well suited to the niche that it's in. So
And especially for now, because
yeah,
very young children might not be impacted as severely, but children who are, say, cognitive, somewhere between the ages of 8 and up, or
right,
10 and up, are certainly aware that life is not the same as it was several months
Right.
ago, and
Right.
they are having.
And the other good thing about this is that, given the nature of it, it can run on those old cardboard-based phones. You know,
Right.
I think there's still a cardboard app support. I could be wrong, but I believe there is.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep reading different things about that. It seems to me like cardboard is still functional, but some people have written not so much. So I'm not sure what platforms are closing down completely.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't think we addressed yet, but yeah, our next thing, we'll probably might as well go into that. Hulu is dropping VR support for every platform except Rift and the Gear VR.
The Gear. Go ahead. Explain that one to me.
I don't know.
That one to me.
They are not dropping support for a platform that no longer has support.
I guess that would be redundant. I guess they don't
keeping
have
it
to.
on the platform for which there is support, which is the Oculus Go. I don't know. I don't get it.
Please, I was going to say that to me made, when I saw that it was still on the Rift, yeah, because everybody likes to sit in front of their Rift,
right,
and watch TV. I mean, I don't think I ever watched anything on my Rift, that I didn't participate in, and it's not a media device by any stretch of the imagination in that respect. How could it not be on the mobile device?
I don't know. Well, it is. It's on the Gear VR.
Yeah, I know. Okay, moving on.
So, anyways, I was going to show just really quickly here. It is available on cardboard still.
Wow.
So
that is scary, I gotta say.
So moving on to our last bit of the news. https://twitter.com/SNATHVR/status /127412593140848
Did I sum that up perfectly or what?
You care to share with us what that's all about?
Sure. Nady showed a VR ring, a controller ring for VR. So you wear the ring, it has a little joystick on it, like 4 little buttons. Right. So, no, I think it looks like it would be the hardest thing in the universe to actually use while playing VR, considering the buttons are placed this far apart.
I am guessing that it would be meant to be worn on the index finger, and right. But how you really get to that one button that's like right there, yeah.
I know. I was looking at the placement, and it was sort of like, and I'm gonna grip, and no,
you would have to come over with your other hand to push that button.
Right, exactly. Very immersive, completely natural, instinctive. Exactly what you would do in real life. Here, let me get that bad guy. And
well, if that button were the Oculus Home button, the equivalent, I can understand that, because you're not going to press that button very often.
But that's just it. If it was made to be used with hand tracking, like if you need that in itself, might be something decent.
Maybe.
To be able to move or something with one button on each hand that gives you just that much more control.
Right.
Actually, thinking about that, that's not bad.
Speaking of, there's also been for a while now an AR. Well, it's not necessarily originally intended for AR, but there's a ring controller device that is often meant as or marketed by all the new tech, videos as an AR controller ring, and this isn't the exact one that I was thinking about, but this is one of the designs that I have seen for it.
Oh no, I don't like that.
So that's not the one that I was just thinking of. It looks like, as it says here, it's administered brass knuckles.
Right.
So it's actually a motion controller. But no, there has also been one that looked more like an actual ring, but it still has that kind of flared over design right there that the one Nathan showed has. But it's the entire ring is, or part of it at least, is also a touch sensitive, a capacitive ring.
Right.
So you can go like that. You can just tap, and it tracks your motion as well. That I could see working great in conjunction with, say, the Unreal Light, or with even just hand tracking in a VR app. Because it let your hand tracking do all the suppositional stuff, and let that ring provide a little bit of extra stuff, like bring that closer to me.
Right, exactly.
Or whatever,
So yes, I can see the beauty of having a little extra control if you're going to go to hand tracking. You don't have to go with a full glove or a full, but just a little bit, because as you well know, you're very limited in your.
Right. So, and personally, I think that device that Nathan showed is probably not going to take off.
No, it's just too many buttons in too small a space to work.
Yeah.
It needs to be much simpler, especially when you're in VR. The last thing you want to do is it's hard enough to work the inventory systems and the control systems in half these games, much less trying to figure out how the ring on your finger is going to work while you're manipulating that. It's just too much to ask.
Yeah. So, it actually kind of reminds me of a similar gimmicky product that I used one time that was intended as a laptop mouse replacement that you wore on your finger. You would attach it there, and you'd have the mouse right there.
Right. That didn't work out so good.
It wasn't very good. Right. It didn't really work too well.
I know. It was interesting to see the typewriters that they're developing for finger usage and everything, but none of them, I think, have really hit that sweet spot yet. They're all just. If
there's too much learning a new system involved, I think that's going to turn a lot of people away from it, and they're not going to adopt it. Now, if it's a really easy and quick learning of the new system, sure. But if it's one where they'll have to actually set aside time and purchase Mavis Beacon Teaches VR Typing. Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, that was just a.
They won't do that.
Well, no, if it comes with the book and well, we were talking. Mavis Beacon, man. I just think you
bring back memories, right?
Yeah, you just lost 98% of our viewing audience, but yes, it does bring back some.
98% of our viewing audience has stopped watching an hour 20 minutes ago.
Oh yes, that's what my.
And speaking of which, we need to end this soon, because that was our last news item, and we are already an hour and a half in.
Yeah, that would probably.
But there was that much news this week, so there was a lot of news. So, as always, like, subscribe, drag your friends over to your house with a mask on them until they also like and subscribe.
And put a glove on them if you've been using your own keyboard.
And tell your friends to watch our video. Tell the world. And on that note,
all right.
Bye. Have fun.
Bye. Take care. Good weekend.